Fantastic Mr. Fox by Roald Dahl, adapted by Simone. There once were 3 farmers, Bogus, Bunce, and Bean. One fat, one short, one lean. These farmers were nasty and mean. In the valley there was a family of foxes. There was a mother and a father and 4 small children. Each night Mr. Fox sneaks out to get food, and every night he asks Miss Fox, "Well, my darling, what shall it be tonight?" so he knows what to get for her. When Mr. Fox popped out of his hole that night, the mean farmers tried to shoot him. Bang! Oh, Mr. Fox's tail got shot off, but he is still okay. Now the farmers have a new plan. They are going to try to dig him out. The farmers started by trying to dig them out with sharp shovels, but the foxes outdug them. Then the farmers tried to dig them out with noisy tractors. It was close. The farmers almost got to them. The foxes are very tired, but they have to keep digging. The foxes and farmers are in a race. The farmers are still trying to dig out the foxes, but the foxes are getting really tired. The hole is getting smaller and smaller by the minute. By now a huge crowd had gathered around the hole. Everyone was laughing at the sight of them. The farmers and foxes were very, very tired, and the farmers settled in for the night. The foxes are now starving. The children are begging for food, and Miss Fox is getting very weak and weary. The farmers are bribing the foxes with delicious chicken. The farmers make sure that the foxes don't dig out by placing 108 men around the hole. The farmers are getting impatient, but Mr. Fox has a plan. The 4 small foxes and Mr. Fox are digging and digging in a special direction. The foxes have reached a wooden floorboard that leads to Bogus's chicken house, number 1. They popped up and saw a glorious sight. Mr. Fox told the biggest fox to bring the chickens to Miss Fox and tell her to prepare a feast. When the biggest fox got to Miss Fox, she thought she was dreaming. She didn't think that the chickens were real. She opened one eye and then closed it again. The little fox told his mother, "You aren't dreaming. The chickens are real. Dad said to tell you to prepare a feast," said the biggest fox. "And a feast it will be," cried Miss Fox. As they were digging some more, a hole formed in the top of the tunnel. Out popped Badger and a little badger too. "Foxy!" Badger cried. "Badger!" cried Mr. Fox. "Long time no see." Mr. Fox told the little badger to go to everyone and say it. He invited all of them to a great feast. The tunnel was going forward at a terrific pace. Now the badger was lending a paw. Soon they came to another floorboard in the roof of the tunnel. Mr. Fox lifted up the floorboard and revealed the contents of the room to the animals. The room was Bunce's giant storehouse. The group took some ducks, geese, ham, bacon, and carrots. The carrots were for the rabbits, of course. As the group was digging along, they reached a brick wall in the ground. "Now why would someone put a wall in the ground?" asked Badger. "This is no wall, Badger," said Mr. Fox. "In fact, this is a tunnel that leads to any animal's dream." Then Mr. Fox started pulling bricks out of the wall, and they saw lovely jars of cider. There was also a very rude rat behind the wall. His name was Rat, and he thought that everything inside the room that they were now standing in was his. Just then they heard footsteps, thump, 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 and they were coming down to the cellar. The footsteps belonged to a fat woman. The animals jumped behind some jars of cider. Once the woman was gone, the animals jumped down, took some cider, and ran off down the tunnel. The animals were running as fast as they could down the tunnel. They passed Bunce's giant storehouse and Bogus's chicken house, number 1. Then finally they came to the fox's den, and they saw a big table with Miss Fox and the 3 little foxes, Miss Badger and the 3 little badgers, Mole and Miss Mole and the 4 little moles, Rabbit and Miss Rabbit and 5 little rabbits, Weasel and Miss Weasel and 6 little weasels, and all the tremendous food laid out beautifully on the table. As they all sat down, Mr. Fox tapped his foot against his glass, and instantly everyone settled down. "I'd like to say something, if you please," said Mr. Fox. As he started talking, he let out a big belch, and as he finished, he let fly yet another big belch. "Please, everyone, dig in," cried Mr. Fox. Now you are all probably wondering what happened to the farmers, and I will tell you. They are still up on the hill with their guns on their laps, waiting for the foxes to come out. But little do they know, the foxes aren't planning on coming out anytime soon.